as a small business owner, I struggle with going through the lows. Sometimes I'm selling lots and sometimes I'm selling nothing in a whole week. Have you ever gone through this and what's your advice to overcome it?
All right, so this is a very big question. So I'm going to give a really good analogy for this answer. So you know how people always say running a business is like a roller coaster. You know, there's the bumpy, there's the straight, there's whatever. But what people don't talk about is when you're at the top of the roller coaster and everything feels fine and it's right before you're about to fall. That's basically what it's like when you get a business and you make a lot of sales and then you drop. And then when you're falling down from that top climax, from the highest point of your business, that's the scariest point of the roller coaster, right? Because you don't know how far you're going to fall. You get really scared, right? Like you get that feeling in your heart. It's the exact same with business sales, right? The reason we get fear is of losing sales, right, is because we've been at a position where we've made the sales, right? And that fear that we have when you're going down a roller coaster and you don't know where the end is the exact same fear you get when you're losing sales. Because think about the trajectory of getting sales and the trajectory of losing sales. When you're going a whole week with getting sales, it's slow, it's enjoyable, you're getting them here and there, and you're really in the moment. The minute you lose those sales, it's so quick, right?
Yeah.
The next day, you realize at 11 a.m., your customer hasn't hit you up. You know, by 1 p.m., no one's interacting with your post, right? So it hits really quick. And that's what the roller coaster is like. When you go straight down, it's so fucking quick. You don't even know what's coming to you. And so what this does is it creates a perception of your mind that things are meant to always be a certain way. Right. And this is the biggest problem with businesses that go viral but don't make sales. Right. The reason is that we feel a certain way when we lose those sales, right, is because we have a perceived perception of how it's meant to be when we did have sales. But let's take it back to why you started that business. When you had zero sales, what was motivating you to get up? Right? What was motivating you to make those sales? But now that you've got those sales, it's depressing to be at the point where you're not making them again. Right? Because you've seen what it's like. And that's why being stable is so important, and contextualizing these losses is so important, right? When you're not making sales during a week, think about why. Think about what you've changed during your content, right? Think about where you were at the start of your business to now. Maybe you're just going through a part where you need to change something for your consumers. Maybe your competitors are doing better than you, right? But overall, the most important thing, and the thing for me, like when I was running Shisha at Your Door, I would make sales every single week. There wasn't one time where I struggled. I might have struggled with high sales number, but I never went week without sales, right? So I can't relate in the same way that where I say, like, how do you deal with it? But how do I deal with trajectories of going down in businesses that I've run? The fact that I know that it's still at a better position than where it was when it started. And when I started, I had no perception of what better was. But when you're better, you have a perception of it. Does that make sense? So because you're making 30 sales weekly, right? When you start making zero sales, you're saying, I'm meant to be making 30 sales. Right? But you're not meant to be. The market adjusts accordingly. You were meant to be making 30 sales those 3 weeks before, but now you're not. Something has changed. The market has changed. You're not adapting your product or service to your consumers well enough for it to be worth being bought. So my biggest advice would be go straight back to that reason why you started. Yeah. For me, it's like I'm always going to be impacting small business owners, whether we're selling our services or not, whether people watch our shit or not. I'm still going to be speaking to all the small business owners locally in our area. So for me, my impact is still there, right? So that's what it is for me. That's what keeps it going. For you, it might be the fact that you're able to start your own business. You're willing to take that risk to quit your 9 to 5 and earn enough money to put it into your own business, right? And heaps of people have different passions. Maybe it's that you want to impact kids' lives and you know you've impacted 100 kids' lives, so you're more likely to impact them in the future, even if they're not buying your coaching service, right? Yeah. And I think the most important thing when you're going through the low lows is to contextualize it, understand why. Look, break down every single category of your business and understand what you've changed and what you haven't changed, and look at the differences between when you're performing well and when you weren't performing well. Most of the time, it'll be your marketing strategy. It may be the time of the season. Maybe your product just isn't good in that time of the season, right? Maybe you're not reading the market. Maybe you're not research and developing. Consumers can get bored as well. They see your product or service all the time. They use it. Maybe their previous experience was like the exact same as all their last experiences, and they got bored. They found your competitors. They've done different things. So rather than thinking there's low lows and high highs, think about it in the moment. That's where your business is in the moment, because they're not considered low lows if there's no high highs. And if there's no high highs, there's no low lows, right? Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the understanding that where you are in business is exactly where you're meant to be is so important. And this self-awareness is what lots of business owners lack, right? This self-awareness that wherever you're meant to be in your business is exactly what the market decides, right? And rather than wondering why it's not where it was, start thinking about what you could do in the present moment. What can you change about your business to like, you know, be able to make it successful again, make it to the point where you want it to be again? And let me just finish this off by saying, and I know I repeated it a lot, but people say you need to hear this 7 times before you hear it. You have to always go back to your purpose when it's the money that's not reeling you in, right? When it's the sales, when it's the climax, when it's the top of the roller coaster, you have to go back to the purpose of why you started your business.
Yeah.
Thank you.